All right, welcome back, everybody. It's your boy Billy Wayne back with Legacy United, a Righteous Project Inc. podcast. So basically, what we do, we invite local entrepreneurs, people that operate nonprofits in the corporate world, all that, just to share their story. Today, we definitely have our new guest. Go ahead and share to the people who you are and what you do, man.
Yeah, my name is Isaiah with Superior Drip. I am an entrepreneur. We did just launch this energy drink, Booty Juice here. It is an all-natural premium energy drink that is going to change the game in regards to, healthy alternative to what you're drinking currently right now.
That's what's up, man. I like the pitch, man, straight up. But I agree, man. I do like this a lot as well, man. So basically, last couple of episodes, we had a couple of other guests, even myself, sharing our story, man. So this is your time to shine, man. So I'm gonna pass the mic over your way and just, let us know, man, where you came from and everything you went through.
Okay. So, I did grow up in the Denver ParkHill area. Where, ultimately, as you know, if you grew up in ParkHill or just even in the metro area, in the in the 90s, there was a lot going on in the community. There was a lot of gang violence, drugs, and, police brutality. So ultimately, growing up in that kind of era and knowing that, each day you have to make sure that, you live it the best, and also just
Right.
being safe and just having a, good grounded foundation. That's the key, and so me growing up, my mom, she always, implement, going to church or just even, not necessarily going to church, but just having God in your life, because no matter what we go through in life, whether it's up and downs, we always have to, give God his glory, because ultimately, like she always says, it's always a calm, before the storm. So,
Right.
Anything that, you're going through right now, it's not going to last forever. So, keeping God in your life is strong. And even if you veer from that, you can always, go back to that. So in regards to just me having certain foundations growing up and just trying to, be positive about every single thing that I do, even when things are bad, it's just kind of, takes me back to what my mom always tell me is, just to stay positive. Things don't last forever. And joy always comes to you in the morning. So
There you go.
that's one thing that I stick to right now,
Okay.
as an adult, because it works. It
Yeah.
never stops working. So
Right. No, straight up, man. I agree with that 100%. I got to do some product placement for you real quick. But, yeah, man, you keep going. I like the message. Don't give up, man. I think that is very important, especially when you're in business, man, because every day it's always something different. Sometimes you might have your highest profit. Sometimes you might have your lowest. Even looking back to a couple of years ago, the people that I've worked with, they, some of their websites still don't, they don't work anymore. They're not doing what they were doing at that time, man. And that's one of those statistics that you see, is that businesses usually fail within the first couple of years, man. So if you keep on going, keep striving, man, you start seeing those positive results.
And that's one thing with us, when we launched this business, to kind of give you an insight about that is, it was a rocky road, because me and my business partner, we sat down, and it was just funny that, we was just on the phone, just, chopping it up, and, we was just like, talking about business, because we've always had an entrepreneur kind of spirit where we always wanted to kind of, do things, trying to make go-karts and
Right.
trying to sell, Kool-Aid or
Okay.
just whatever it is, we're trying to just do something, different. So, we talked about it, and we kind of looked into a couple things, like, well, what could we do?
Right.
Everybody is, doing the liquor and the wine, and, it's kind of saturated. So it's kind of like, okay, so for us, because, how we're looked at, in the community, it's like, well, what could we do that stands out? So we looked into the energy drink. And so that's how that kind of got started with that. And then,
Okay.
Everything else kind of just fell in place. But going through the actual process was very hard, because, we had a goal, to kind of give you insight that we launched the company in April of 2022.
Oh, okay.
So me and my partner, our goal was to have a launch in September. You know what I'm saying? That was the goal, is to launch in September, because it's like, we didn't really know like what was going on, but like we had big plans, and then just ultimately how we calculated things, it should have been September, and then September rolled around, and then like it was nothing, and then October rolled around. Now we're doing our first pilot run, which we should have been doing our pilot run in like July.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, we're a little frustrated because we got things on the back end working that we like, man, we gotta get going because, you know, hey, time don't wait for nobody.
Right,
you know what I'm
right,
saying?
yep,
So
yep.
October comes around, November comes around. You know, we're doing our second pilot run, but then
Yep.
it's kind of like things are like in between is like working real slow because
Right.
we're trying to get the website
Yep.
working, and like that within itself, as you just talked about, man, that was like within a nutshell
Yeah.
the most frustrating process
Right.
because like at the end of it, once we finally got to the nitty gritty of the website, it literally took them like 3 days to do whatever they had to do, but we was on hold for like 6 months,
Yep.
bro.
Yep.
So
I hear about that all the time, man.
So, you know, for that and just going through that, but still sticking with it, and then, you know, going through, you know, the whole process, you know, with the back end things of it, it's frustrating but worth it. So when it finally launched, it was kind of, you know, a breath of fresh air. But at the same time, you know, since we've been in business, it's been I wouldn't say trying, but it's definitely hard work. Like I can definitely say, because I'm in this field now, for all the entrepreneurs out there that has been doing this for a while and has been doing it off the same flip. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey, listen, I commend y'all because it's definitely not easy because you have to get up every morning.
Yep.
You have to apply yourself even when you don't want to get up, or
Yep.
even if you don't have a sense of direction where you're going to try to go find some money at. Like you just
Yeah,
have to just
exactly.
get up
Yep.
and just go. So
Right.
for me, you know, being on this side of things, you know, understanding, you know, how it works, and then even just launching this drink right here, you know, seeing how it works, even just putting it into a can, what goes into a can, and
Yep.
how that goes, it's definitely a good process, and it's definitely worth it, but it's definitely hard work. But you know, for entrepreneurs out there that's trying to, you know, start their own, even if you're, you know, selling food out the crib, you know, hey, you know, figure out a formula, keep going at it, you know, because ultimately, you know, something's going to click and it's going to figure itself out as long as you're being consistent.
Right.
And that's
straight
just
up.
with anything that you're doing in life, whether it's business, you know, you're going to school, anything you do, just be consistent, have a plan, and just whatever comes your way, whether it's negative or whatnot, just channel that out and just keep going because it's going to come your way. But you just have to be able to fight through that adversity and just get through it and just go on about your day. Don't complain about it because, I mean, you're just going to have some days where it's going to hurt physically, mentally, emotionally, but, you know, you can't show that kind of, you know, weakness when you're trying to get or accomplish somewhere because, you know, people will definitely prey on that, and they will definitely, you know, they tell you they got good intentions, but ultimately the real intentions is to see you fail because they didn't want to see you here in this position anyway.
Yep.
So you just got to like channel that out and just worried about, you know, the people that are definitely for you and just what your focus is on what you're trying to accomplish with yourself and with your business.
Right. That's I mean, man,
You know?
said it better than I could say, man. Straight up, I mean, a couple of points there is you know, talking about the competition. So you never know what that competition looks like until you get into that industry, you know, and you go out there, you network, you know, and you have the best intentions, and then some people, you know, oh yeah, that's what's up, man, we need to link up, and then, you know, you see the opposite, and I think it was Nate on the other episode, man, saying that, you know, you would like for everybody to speak the truth about working with the community, man, but it's not all there. You know, we're not there yet.
No.
And then the part about just keep grinding, man. There's a quote I put on social media the other day about like you have to be in love with the process, man. The end result is only temporary, right? Just like you were saying about the can, people don't understand the work it took for the ingredients to go into this can, the images and everything, even the product to be created.
Period.
So this is the end result, man. But the hustle, the grind, everything that you had to do in it, man, that lasts a lifetime. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
And you can
bro.
take the same concept that you did for this, and you can apply it to other things. You know, so I think that's the biggest point is people have to understand it's not about making that $1 million contract, which will be what's up. You know, I mean that'll be dope when you do that. But it's all about the grind that you did to get there, man. Because after that, you got to keep going anyway. You know?
And
So,
as me and my business partner always talk about, it's a E40 quote. We always talk about, you know, you got to build it brick by brick. You know, it's not
exactly.
It doesn't come overnight. You got to build it brick by brick.
Sure.
And so, you know, that's just one thing that we we was poised to do. Because again, you be in situations where it's like, I don't know, for a lot of, small businesses or entrepreneurs, if you're still working your full-time job or you're just getting it from the mud. But for me, I'm saying, and my business partner, we walked away from jobs to, ultimately, do this process. And, that's an uncomfortable feeling. And that's one thing that you have to be able to get to that level where, you have to be uncomfortable to get to comfortable. And that's just and that's just pretty much what it is. And, depending on how long it takes or how long the process is, you just got to go through it and go through whatever struggle comes your way, and that's one thing that a lot of people mentally are not prepared for. Like, it looks good on paper, when you get everything going, but then when you really, are going through them trenches like that, again, as we talked about, figuring out, each day, how you going to get business running on top of, again, trying to figure out, your personal finances, because again, if you're doing this full time, you have to still maintain as, for everything, especially if you got a family. So that becomes sometimes a challenge, but also it's kind of like that adrenaline, like, like, what I'm saying? I got to make it happen. You know what I mean? It has to happen. So that just keeps you pushing every single day to just, figure it out. And then once it starts clicking, then it's like you can sit back and appreciate, the struggle, but also know that, okay, I know not to, do this again, because ultimately, like, I worked too hard to get where I'm at, to where, we're going to go backwards. Right. And that's just, for me, that's just how I roll every day, man. And that's just being transparent on that.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that a lot. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good things in there, man. When you're operating a business, but it is a tough transition to balance life with that too. So sometimes you got to make that sacrifice. Sometimes it's not the best. You might not have the best day, man. You might have to grind a little bit extra hours than you want to, man. But it's what you have to do at times, And if you can figure that out, man, you should be set, man. So
absolutely,
I appreciate all that, man. Some good insight there.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Let's take it back real quick, though. Let's take it back to the early days, man. I know before we were talking about going to Gove Middle School back in the day. It's not there no more, like you mentioned, man. But those were the days, though, man. Gove, and you said you went to TJ.
Went to TJ
as well. Yeah. Anything in those days that kind of helped you understand that you wanted to be that businessman, that boss man when you grew up?
Well, when I was about 11, 12 years old, see, my mom, and that's one thing that, like I said, that's going to be at the end as far as people that we inspire, and we'll talk about that. But my mom, since I was about 11 or 12 years old, I've always knew about just business in regards to just the simple things, like 12 years old, knowing about CDs and money markets and savings accounts and things like that. I knew that at 12 years old, where a lot of kids, they didn't even, barely knew how to count, what I'm saying? Counting. And so, it was just, I wouldn't say it came natural to me, but just seeing my mom, and being in the finance world, because that's what she's done her whole life, is being in financing and stuff. And math has always been my favorite subject. So it's just numbers and just entrepreneurship, it was just always in me to do it. And then, in the summertime, of course, with your friends, y'all go out, hustling, trying to, get things like, well, we're gonna go hustle Kool-Aid, or we're gonna go sell lemonade, or
right.
So that's just for me, because the community we grew up in, man, it's just like you had no choice, man. Like, it was fun, but then also too, it was survival, because if it's like, if you didn't have the opportunity to get the things that you wanted in life, rather, you had a good, family backing or not, you still wanted things that if you didn't get, it was still, you feel like it was a disadvantage. So for me, again, I just always wanted to have my own, and just wanted to be able to appreciate it without somebody giving me something that I have to, later on, explain why. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're giving it to me. Yep. And that's just me. That's just how I've been, even at, as a young kid.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's good motivation, man. Yeah. That's good to know. Thanks for that, sir. So, I got a couple questions for you to wrap this up. So, all right. So let's say, man, that you had the unlimited funds and no restrictions, no hurdles, man. What is your ultimate vision of your company?
So for me, and I'm pretty sure my business partner has some of the same aspirations and different, but for me with the company is, everybody say I want to be rich and I want to be billionaires. I mean, that's all good and dandy. But for me, it's just about creating the generational wealth for
That's
my
what's up.
kids. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what's up.
Because, growing up, and again, just to kind of give you a little more insight, growing up and being actually involved in certain situations where I've actually been shot and,
Yeah.
things like that, where I had to reevaluate my life,
Right.
and, figure out which direction I want to go, and then kind of just reevaluate people that I was talking to, like, do I want to continue doing this? Because ultimately, I might not see 25,
Right. Right.
and so I just started looking at things different in that aspect of life, to where mentally, when I started doing other things, as far as, opening up small businesses, trying to do landscaping, doing all that,
Yep.
it's just conditioned my mind to just be about business all the time. Then as I got older,
Yep.
and things just started connecting for me, like, this is why we're at right now, because it's just a continuous plan
Right.
of just trying to be great and want to leave wealth for my kids, because I don't want them to ever have to go through what I went through. And I'm not saying that, they're not going to go through things in life, because that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But giving them an opportunity and showing them that, hey, your dad, because one thing with me and my kids is, I don't hide nothing from them if they ask me, because I'm
Yep.
at an age that it's like, I done been through a lot.
Right,
I don't
right.
hide nothing from them, from the good to the bad, from,
Yeah, I feel you.
going to jail, from,
Right.
being shot to just whatever.
Yep.
I don't sugarcoat it, because they need to know, like, okay, well, if I go down this path my dad goes, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, I'm going to most likely get the same results. So for me, it's not even about the money. It's just showing them that you don't necessarily got to just work a job and be stuck somewhere where, you're only going to just get to a certain level, and they're going to tell you, like, well, yeah, you can grow within the company, but then you're never there. And then 20 years later, you're still stuck in the same
Stuck. Right,
situation.
right, yeah.
Because how I see it, when we get in our 50s and 60s, and even our kids, man, there ain't going to be no Social Security and none of that.
Right.
So we're going to have to find a way. And it says, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you
Yep.
teach a man how to fish, he'll always eat forever.
Yep.
So for me, it's being able to teach my son, like, hey, even if you don't want to run this business, it gives you an opportunity to show you that you can do whatever you want to
Yeah.
do
I
if you
feel
just
you.
put your mind
Yeah,
to it. You
exactly.
don't necessarily have to
Right.
do what your dad is doing,
Yep.
running this company or doing this kind of ordeal, but it gives you an opportunity and gives you a mindset like, well, dang, if
Right.
my dad can do it, because, kids be like, oh, dad, you old and all this, but it's kind of like, motivation. Like, man, my dad is, is trying to do something different, and that's what I want to do. And that's for all my kids. So that's the main goal for me, is to just leave generational wealth. It's not about the money, because as long as you're doing good quality business and you're, doing business within community and being that community guy,
Right.
especially, if you have a background and people know your story. For me, that's what this business reflects, is our story on how we grew up, and ultimately, we have to get it from the mud, man.
Yep.
And ultimately, that's just the end point for that, is knowing that our kids knew that our, dads got it from the mud. That's just the pinnacle for me. The wealth comes later, bro.
Yep. That's what's up. I like it, man. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. So next question for you. Any advice that you would give to the younger you?
Don't do it again. Sorry. Now, the advice I would give the younger me, I would say, is that I would take. So for me, like when I was 12, because that's one thing too. Growing up, my dad, he got sick when I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
Man, he had gotten a real bad,
Yeah.
car accident. He's deceased now, but he was in a real bad car accident, and it kind of changed not only me, but it changed him as well, because he came out the car accident good, but he didn't go to the hospital. He didn't go to the doctor because he had bruised ribs, but
Okay.
he ended up getting like brain damage and ended up getting like dementia later on.
Damn.
And so from 12 until he passed away when I was 30, man, like that was a time in my life where it was like, I needed certain things from my dad.
Yeah.
And because like physically he was sick and
Yeah.
just couldn't do certain things, like it kind of left me, having to figure out a lot of stuff on my own. And so that's why a lot of times I kind of veered, in certain, directions. So I would just tell myself, knowing what I know now, just go a different path, because like, you know, your dad can't, you know, be here necessarily to kind of help you. So you got to go a different path and don't, you know, follow what everybody's doing. You know,
Right.
create your own lane.
Gotcha, man.
So
Yeah.
that's what it is, bro.
That's what's up, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Man. So yeah, that's all the questions I got for you, man.
All right.
And I just wanted to, you know, just appreciate you coming on the show,
Man, I appreciate
sharing your
this. It's
story,
dope.
man,
This
getting
is
the
dope.
insight in there as well.
Yeah.
Dropping some knowledge. That's what it's all about. You know, Legacy United, man. We're trying to unite that community that we were talking about earlier. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, before we head out, man, did you have the social media sites or anything you want everybody to visit?
Absolutely. You can definitely go to Facebook. It's Superior Drip LLC or just Superior Drip. Instagram, you can just type in Superior Drip as well as Twitter. Superior Drip LLC. You'll see it in there. And then also, we are also on TikTok as well with Superior Drip.
Nice.
So all those channels, and then also go to the website www.superiordripco.com. And ultimately, you know, those are all the channels that we have as far as our social media.
Cool. Appreciate that, man. So show some love. Visit the sites. You can place an order.
Yeah.
Everything like that. And as far as the episode goes, you can visit us on YouTube, Righteous Project. We are on Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all of that. Just type in Legacy United, a Righteous Project Inc. podcast, and subscribe. We're trying to get more people on the show, so if you like this, share it with anybody that you know that has a business or whatever. You know, we're trying to get as many guests on the show as well.
Yes, sir.
So once again, this is Billy Wayne signing out with Superior Drip. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Yes, sir.